The history of storytelling dates back to ancient times and combines various nuances and details. Creating stories has always been a part of human existence, and therefore it is difficult to determine the starting point of such a phenomenon. The art of storytelling is international, trans-historical, and even transcultural. Society strives to entertain, communicate, and transmit information, which has led to a close connection between the evolutionary formation of individuals and the creation of stories. The first foundations go back to the times of rock paintings, hieroglyphs, and pictograms, which give storytelling a visual representation. In particular, the oldest rock painting was created in Indonesia 45,500 years ago. Such visual fragments depicted the reality of that time, which included animals, plants, and household tools. Back then, people had stones, wood, and glue to create an informative message for future generations. This visual representation of story had a powerful effect on the civilizations of that time, but could not be spread in space or transmitted to other tribes. Oral storytelling developed in parallel. Since time immemorial, people have gathered at night around a fire to warm up, chat, and share experiences. They did this in the form of stories, but only specific individuals were entrusted with this honorable mission. Such kinds of stories inspired people to live a dignified life. The creation of myths, legends, and epics was the primary way to share stories for many cultures. However, technology changed dramatically with the advent of radio in 1895. Only time became the determining factor because the listener and the narrator can be in different locations. Podcasts have acquired similar features, but listening to recordings is not limited by time or space now. It all started with visual elements and oral fragments, but rapidly transformed into the creation of stories in a written format. The switch from animal parchment to paper and Johannes Gutenberg's invention of the printing press quickly changed how stories were created. Publishers began to combine pictures and text to record larger amounts of information in one book. Moreover, it became possible to mention the names of the authors of texts. Printing technology allowed stories to travel through space and to be read by more people. Also, a photograph was created for the first time in 1826, so then it was possible to record reality in color 35 years later. Television was invented in 1927. The first television network was launched in 1939. Digital storytelling has radically changed in the 21st century. The transition from printing advertisements in newspapers to the distribution of brand stories online was decisive. People got tired of long stories due to the excess of content, so they began to choose short videos, faster series, and more concise texts. Nowadays, every person can tell a story from any corner of the planet and share it to a huge number of people via the internet. At the same time, users have to analyze a lot of information on social networks that constantly remind them about themselves with notifications. The emergence of personalized gadgets, including computers, laptops, tablets, phones, and virtual glasses, contributes to a more dynamic and accessible creation of content by society. Creating stories helps structure information, attract attention, and evoke empathy. People combine photos, images, videos, and texts to create more vivid stories for themselves and for brands by adapting previous media. At present, humanity no longer creates new kinds of art, but interprets, combines, and transforms the achievements of past centuries in accordance with the challenges of today. A brand story spreads across cultural, political, historical, economic, and social spaces, changing from its original form. Authors create virtual worlds in stories and artificially tie them to reality in today's world. Such texts drive consumer demand and the popularity of brands. Screenwriters combine different types of art in their texts. Without realizing their activity presents the phenomenon of remediation. On the other hand, society has turned into a convergent culture that strives to grab the necessary information from the general flow of content. Humanity has moved from inscriptions on rocks to social media posts, where businesses use visual, oral, and written storytelling tools to present their products more effectively. As Alan Kirby notes, after postmodernism came a new cultural phenomenon called digimodernism. It is characterized by interactivity, endless narrative, non-linearity of texts, blurring of boundaries between activities, and a deepening of existential loneliness due to globalization. Modern technologies determine how we perceive reality. Soon, virtual reality will become the main area of application of storytelling for companies. Customers will be able to immerse themselves in the atmosphere, get closer to the brands, and meet their needs. Storytelling has a long history and continues to transform in accordance with modern requirements. A brand story constantly responds to trends, helps companies tell more effectively about a unique sales offer, distinguishes a business from competitors, and forms a subtle union between a consumer and a seller. The creation of stories began tens of thousands of years ago with rock drawings, hieroglyphs, pictograms, and stories around the fire. It was transformed with the use of papyrus, paper, the printing press, and the printer later. Personalized technologies allow everyone to create their own story thanks to a computer, laptop, tablet, phone, or virtual reality glasses today. Modern brand stories are fundamentally different in their formal and stylistics from those created by their predecessors.